Following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign, trusted by over 500 NFL players for their winning smiles. And broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star. Now, your host, Nicole Hutchison.
Good morning, Cowboys Nation. Welcome into Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign in the SWBC studio. Nicole Hutchison, Brianna Aldridge, Christy Scales. Ladies, we had Super Bowl yesterday. It was a good time. We just start off the bat. Well, first off, how are y'all doing?
I didn't talk to y'all in about a week.
I'm sorry.
I was trying to remember what we talked about last because it feels like going from every single day to once a weekend. But yeah, guys, football's over.
Yeah.
It's officially over.
It is officially a wrap.
What are we going to do on Sundays?
Be at home and chill and find something to watch.
NBA?
Basically, yeah.
March Madness.
Hey, it'll be March Madness.
That too.
March
Madness is
coming up. Yeah.
That's when I look like a real basketball fan, like everybody else. I'm not going to lie to you. I've seen maybe 4 games this season.
Not you look like it. That's crazy. It's fine.
Also look like
But what did you guys think of the
That
game?
part.
I mean, I think aesthetically pleasing, maybe not unless you're really into defense.
Yeah.
I thought it was a very old school kind of game. I actually really loved it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, credit to the Seahawks. It might have. I think we're a little bit spoiled, especially we talk a lot about this defense, but we are spoiled offensively, and we're used to seeing the kind of offense that gets you excited. And as bad as the defense is, kind of keeps you in games most of the season. That's what we're used to, and it's just amazing to see another team who is defensively rounded and keeps an okay offense in it first in the Super Bowl when we're talking about it. But that's what they've done all season. And the Seahawks have been able to win games when they have a QB who has a bad game, an okay game, a great game. Like, I was a little jealous in some aspects because I'm like, man, like, this is crazy. But the Seahawks did exactly what they're designed to do, and they were all over. All over it.
So impressive.
Oh, my gosh. Drake, how many times? I don't even know how many times he was sacked.
6.
Oh,
It was
6?
Was it 5 or 6?
2. So, well, my math may be bad. Hold up. 2, 4, 5. No, you're right. 6.
Yeah, 6 times.
A lot.
And, three turnovers with the 2 interceptions and the 1 lost fumble. But I don't know. I felt like this game was kind of a win for the get off my lawn generation of defense wins championships, right? And also taking the points. Thank you for kicking field goals, right? And not, always going for it on 4th down. That paid off for the Seahawks. And, not that anyone is excited when a kicker sets a record for field goals in a Super Bowl, unless you're Jason Myers and his family and his agent. But, yeah, just the way that but at the same time, the concepts and some of the things that McDonald and then, of course, our friend Adam Dirty, who's the defensive coordinator for the Seahawks, what they were doing and sending Witherspoon off, with the blitzing from the corner.
That was crazy.
Just some really fun things. And for those of us who remember when DeMarcus Lawrence was drafted here, really gratifying to see him get a ring. Wish it were here with the Cowboys, obviously, but good for D-Law. So happy for him as well.
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm thinking of the video going in my head because everybody replayed it yesterday, making me sick. But I think it speaks volumes, and I think that should make the guys here that much more hungry because that quote was kind of hard to miss right now. If you look at Cowboys in Twitter or DeMarcus Lawrence, first thing you're going to see, because he was very respectful and Dallas is my home and it's always going to be my home, but this is not where I'm going to wear the Super Bowl. That's got to leave some type of sour.
Well, at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for you. And if,
100%.
D-Law, at the end of the day, like, granted, he battled injuries toward the end of his career, but was healthy all season in Seattle and, did what he needed to do to have a successful career. And now he's a Super Bowl champion. So shout out to D-Law. That defense, ridiculously good. We've been saying it all season long and even this offseason specifically, but we don't give enough credit to that secondary for the Seahawks. I feel like it's probably the best in the NFL. And I was talking to my boyfriend yesterday, just the way that they do so many different things. Sometimes they play close to the line of scrimmage. Sometimes they play off and say, hey, I'll give you about 10, 15 yards. But their closing speed is what impresses me the most for that secondary. So, yeah, I think that was one of the most impressive things. But when you talk about this defense, Seattle specifically, or no, we can talk both of them, Patriots and Seahawks, what is something that you feel like could be, if you're trying to build a Super Bowl champion team here in Dallas, what's something that you can take away from those two teams defensively that you feel, okay, Dallas can kind of help mold that type of championship team?
Honestly, I hate to sound so basic, but sure tackling.
On both
sides.
Yeah.
Both sides. How many yards after contact were there yesterday? Very minimal.
Yeah.
What did we see all season long for the Cowboys defense? A lot of yards after contact given up. A lot of for the Cowboys offense as well. But, just very physical corners, right? Julian Love. Hey, I remember he's the safety who had one of the interceptions for the Seahawks, but I remember when he played for the Giants, and he just always kind of stood out because he was kind of a guy who was always around the ball. But the pass pressure that they put on, and when you say multiple, when you talk about one side of the ball being multiple, you generally think about that on offense, right? We want to be a multiple offense, being able to attack in many different ways. What were both of these teams able to do defensively, but specifically the Seahawks in terms of all of the things that they were doing to mix it up and send waves and coming from different places at Drake May and make it so hard for him? That's what they were doing defensively, and it was really, really impressive.
Looking at the number one defense, well, first I have to give a shout out to Leslie Frazier because I don't feel like he gets enough credit for what he's been able to do. In my opinion, he's been snubbed a few times on a head coaching position. But I think you see kind of this younger, kind of what the Cowboys are trying to do, right? That younger, fresher coaching staff. But I think having kind of guy who kind of is okay with staying behind the scenes and not getting a lot of credit like Frazier does. But there was on Radio Row, he was just speaking about the game and how it changed. And this is a man who was drafted, I think, 1980, I want to say. And he's able to be relevant and bring so much knowledge in this game because he talked about just the roles of the hybrid safeties changing in the last 7 to 8 years. And I think when you look at the Cowboys and when you look at the Seahawks, the edges, we know, need some work, right? But I think the Cowboys, when you're looking at the Seahawks, have the stronger interior defensive line. It's the secondary that stood out the most in what they're able to do and how he's able to do disguises to bring the corners in and blitz and some of those things that the Cowboys just didn't have the ability to do.
And they landed.
Very much
because
so.
there were times that, hey, Flus, they tried to send.
That's true.
I mean, I love me some Marquise Bell, but there were too many times where they just didn't get there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, the execution.
That's what it is. If you even like looking, you know how and you can see during the game there's different angles. That top angle when they're doing like the replay, like normally when I'm looking, I'm like, oh, that's wide open or this. There wasn't a lot of that, and I think like even when Mac Hollins got 2 back-to-back really tight window throws, and they ended up finally scoring towards the end there in the game. Those were like right on cue.
Perfect.
But part of what I heard going back to the Seahawks game plan was they felt like taking out Stephon Diggs was the key to the game, and they did that.
Yeah.
They double-teamed him, and Drake May is a young quarterback. His rhythm, his comfortability starts with Stephon Diggs, and they took him out. And once they did that, he had trouble seeing the field. He's a young QB. I mean, that's what you expect. And again, he had to be right on point, and they were destroying him all night long until the end. And I think you could see the talent there, but it was the experience, I think, as well. Like, if you look at the QBs on both sides, and even though Sam Darnold, 19 for 38, 202 yards, like it's not the greatest statistic in the world, but the defense made him look great.
Yeah.
Boy, and what confidence that defense played with.
Man.
Wow.
They were having fun.
Yeah.
From the jump. They were having fun from the first tackle of the game. And man, I'm like, okay.
But I tell you, though, with the Patriots defense, there were a couple of throws early, like the first couple that Sam Darnold threw where they're undercutting the routes. And it's like, I thought they were,
Very much. They were right on
gosh.
it.
They were just barely
And
off.
the refs were letting them play.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Which they tend to do in the Super Bowl. I mean, I remember when Peyton Manning, they lost that Super Bowl to Denver, not the one he won with Denver, but I mean, it's like they were letting corners play very aggressivly.
Yeah.
And it's the opening series. I'm like, this game's over.
there was a couple plays where I'm like, because there'd be like Patriot receiver and three DBs right there, and like all hands in. I'm like, to your point, in any other game, that's a penalty.
Yeah. What stood out to you, though, Nicole? What stood out? We were talking about the defense.
Yeah, the defensive play, as I'd already mentioned, I think is what stood out to me the most. But one of my questions was, sorry, before I lose it, is what do you think? Do you think it was more so about the Patriots, their offense inability to do a lot of things or have any offensive rhythm the entire game until the fourth quarter? Do you think that was due to the Seahawks defense just playing off the charts? Or do you think it was something that this offense really struggled to do and find offensive rhythm?
I think that the Seahawks were able to exploit the matchup with a rookie left tackle. I mean, that's no secret there. And that's not calling the kid out, But I understand that he didn't speak after the game. I think he knew that he struggled. But I think it was taking advantage of the matchups. And they saw that as a potential way to exploit, and they did. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's it, like going back to I think this offense, the connection with May and getting into his rhythm, it starts with Diggs. It has been pretty much in all their higher scoring matchups this season, and they shut him down to 3 targets, like 37 yards. And then even Kayshon Bouttie's been getting some. What he have 1 catch, 5 targets. They were just taking him out. Anything he's comfortable with, they took him out.
Yeah, they other than the touchdown which you referenced earlier, Bree, they really limited the explosive plays, ground and aerial. So
the ground game was awesome.
Yeah, and I really saw an interesting thing. Was it last week in The Athletic, and it was talking about the title caught my eye, and it was the most important statistic in football. And, of course, we know it's turnover differential, right? But this one I'm like, they wouldn't put it that way. They were talking about explosive plays. They were talking about it from an offensive standpoint and going through the past couple of seasons and just what a difference that one explosive play in a drive makes and how many points per drive, what the difference is. And I'm sorry I don't have it with me. I'll try and pull it up during the break. But the key is limiting explosive plays. And the Cowboys defense, going back to your point, Nicole, your question before the question, before this latest question, is the Cowboys just gave up so many explosive plays last year, multiple ones in one drive, right? And so But that's what, and credit to the Patriots defense as well, because for most of the game they were able to do that as well.
Yeah.
Kenneth Walker had some explosive plays on the ground.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say.
The MVP.
Yeah, but they didn't have to do much in the air, the Seahawks. They were trying to get things going on the ground through Kenneth Walker, obviously MVP, but talk about their consistency. 27.
I know
he made up half of their yards.
I know he's exhausted.
Please. But no, I mean, they didn't have to do much, but they kept with the run game no matter what through Kenneth Walker. So I thought that was something that, the Cowboys, they did a better job of that with the run game, with Javonte Williams, things like that, and sticking to the run. And that was something that I kind of enjoyed as well. But we got to take our first break here on Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign. Up next, we're talking George Pickens and the rumors or the reports, I'll say, of franchise tagging him. We'll be right back with more.
When you're on the field, you know what it takes to lead your team and play with confidence. But that confidence shouldn't just stop at game time. It should follow you off the field, too. Join over 500 NFL players who trust Invisalign, the #1 doctor-recommended clear aligner brand. Ready to take the first step towards a smile you'll love? Visit Invisalign.com/NFL and find a doctor near you today. Transform your smile and take your confidence to the next level, both on the field and off.
Discover Aiden, the official luggage partner of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Known for top-tier engineering and craftsmanship, Aiden offers more than just bags. Originating from Australia and designed in New York, it merges fashion, design, and culture. Used by Dallas Cowboys players, staff, and the entire organization, Aiden provides style and functionality for all travelers. Visit AidenTheBrand.com and use code AidenXCowboys for 25% off your purchase. Travel like your favorite stars with Aiden.
How does the cheerleader's hair always look so perfect? We asked, and they shared one of their biggest beauty secrets. If you want hair like theirs and confidence to match, use Babyliss Pro styling tools. The Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders use Babyliss Pro curling irons to get those perfect game day curls. To get the hair you see on the cheerleaders, head to BabylissPro.com. Use the code Cowboys20 for 20% off Babyliss Pro tools, the official styling tools of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Get the discount while it lasts. Offer may be withdrawn at any time at advertiser's discretion.
All right, Cowboys fans, this one's for us. If the men in your life bleed blue and silver like we do, I've found the perfect way to elevate their game day rituals. Gillette just released their best razor in Cowboys colors, and it is everything a Cowboys fan could want. The new Gillette Labs official Dallas Cowboys licensed razor combines his Cowboys pride with Gillette's best shave. And with 50% longer lasting blades, it is truly the gift that keeps on giving. Get it while you can at Gillette.com/NFL. Gillette's best shave is also available as heated.
Get excited for the most dazzling DCC experience. Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders Live is coming to a theater near you. Witness iconic group and solo performances, enjoy an on-stage Q&A session, and even be a part of a live audition. For dates and tickets, visit DallasCowboysCheerleaders.com/tour.
Live audition, so you guys can go out there on stage and
I don't know if I can.
there we
Not
go.
doing all that.
Oh, I can't wait to see you guys. I'm a judge. I'll vote for you.
I will not.
Are you
do that.
really?
I've been a judge for Cowboy cheerleader auditions for 25
I
years.
don't know much. I have enough keeping on track of what's happening on the field. I haven't really.
I'm gonna keep it a
Made my
stack.
way
I ain't
to
got rhythm,
DCC.
so I'm not gonna try it.
That's wild. I have heard
Believe
that
me, I'm gonna.
before
That's crazy.
about you.
Who said that?
Okay.
I'll find out later. Anyways, welcome back to Girls Talk Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign in the SWBC studio. Nicole Hutchison, Brianna Aldridge, Christy Scales, and before we get into George Pickens talk, we didn't even talk about Bad Bunny, y'all.
Oh,
The performance.
The highlight.
what did you think?
We left out the highlight.
It woke
The
me
visuals
up.
was crazy.
Yeah.
It woke
Let's
me
start
up.
with that. I know I did see pictures on Twitter where people that were actually there at the game, they couldn't see because the trees were so tall. Like, you know, the trees
I
that,
saw the trees walking out.
The trees were people. The trees were
Did
people.
the trees stay?
And it's like we
as
finally
trees?
could be, even though none of us have rhythm, we could have been in that show. We could have been the trees.
could have been a tree.
Okay, so I was confused. I didn't know if the trees, you know how they come out and they do like outfit changes? I didn't know if the trees remain trees or if those were like people that came
People.
They were,
out. But they stayed as trees.
yeah.
Yes.
So they got,
That's why I said we could do that.
I could actually do that job. Yes.
Imagine like saying, "Oh my God, I'm going to be a part of the Super Bowl. I'm gonna be a tree for Bad Bunny."
We could
Well, you
tell
know,
people we were in it.
actually, it's funny because one of the things with cheerleader auditions, they have their dance resumes, and they'll be like, "I was in the such and such." Seriously, like Super Bowl halftime show with Lady Gaga. I was this. Was that, and it's always so impressive. And then it's like, well, shoot, I could be a tree and list that on my dance resume. I was in the show, and it's true.
No, I was definitely entertained. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's worth, like I said, told you guys before the show, my godfather went roughly 15 grand a ticket. He took his daughter, and I'm like, I don't know if that's in my budget for the Benito Bowl, but you
So,
know.
but they went mainly to see Bad Bunny.
No.
Okay.
They live out there,
Oh,
so
okay.
they weren't flying or paying for a hotel, but they decided
Still pricey.
a little bit. A little bit.
All right, shout out to Bad Bunny. I believe I saw Derek Eagleton, our boss here. He put on
Like he
Twitter.
went to Bad Bunny?
No. He put on Twitter. he put on Twitter that it was the highest viewed Super Bowl halftime show over Kendrick Lamar. So
Yeah.
that's pretty
And
dope.
Kendrick Lamar set the bar
He
last
did.
season, so
He did. You know who else is trying to set the bar for Dallas Cowboys?
I could guess. I'm gonna let you transition.
George Pickens. Cool. Thanks. There were reports saying that he is set to be franchise tagged. Of course, there's no confirmation on that, but that was just the reports over the weekend. So, Christy, I'll throw to you.
For George Pickens?
For George Pickens,
Yeah.
GP3.
Yeah, so officially there's a parameter of time for a team to place a franchise tag on a player. So that starts next week and it goes through March 3rd. So the Cowboys would have to make the decision between now and then. And so you tag the player, and then the player has to actually sign the franchise tag to be under contract. So the Cowboys have 11 times in history applied a franchise tag. The most recent is Tony Pollard in 2023. Dak has been tagged. I think that was 2022. I'm sorry, Dalton Schultz was in 2022. Dak was tagged twice, 2020 and 2021. DeMarcus Lawrence, we talked about him earlier. He was tagged twice. Dez, you go all the way back to when the tag first started, and the first player was Ken Hamlin, who was a safety. And so what happens is when a player can be a free agent and the team really, really wants to keep him and he's no longer under contract, you can use one tag a year. It can be a franchise tag or a transition tag. And basically you control the fate of that player. Does that mean that they have to play? If the Cowboys tag George Pickens, will he automatically play for the Cowboys in 2026? Probably, but not necessarily, because once a player signs that franchise tag, he can be traded. That's think of Devontae Adams. That's what happened to the Packers. Tagged Adams, and then they traded him to the Las Vegas Raiders. So that can happen. A player doesn't like to be franchise tagged because it's a one-year deal. It's guaranteed money once it's signed. But the range of what George Pickens would receive as a wide receiver would be approximately $28 million, maybe a little more. It's an average of top salaries among wide receivers, but it's a one-year deal. So you sign it, and with the hopes of negotiating a long-term deal, which is what players ultimately want, so they can get big bonus money and the like, or you can sign it, play for 1 year for the $28 million or a little over $28 million, and then you're a free agent again next year. You can cash in even more. If you get tagged a second time, you can get tagged 2 times. Then you would get a big bump from that. Or if you don't get tagged a second time, then you're a free agent again and you get buku money. And we talked last week about how the franchise tag continues to go up and up. So, but that's going to be the big story over the next couple weeks for in Cowboys Nation, is whether or not the Cowboys decide to do it. But they have until March 3rd. All NFL teams, this is standard across the league. Even though it opens next week, it ends March 3rd.
So let me ask you something to make sure I'm understanding this correctly. So would it be more beneficial for Pickens to sign the franchise tag, or would it be more beneficial for the Cowboys, I guess, in short-term type of scenario?
Well, what you're trying to do is keep him off the market from a Cowboys standpoint. So you tag him, and he doesn't have to sign it right away. March 3rd is the deadline for teams to make a decision as to whether they're tagging someone. Hey, he doesn't have to sign it at all.
He can just
doesn't have to sign it at all. But if the Cowboys tag him, they've got his rights for this year. He could sit out a year, wouldn't get paid. So, once you apply the tag, then basically it's up to the player and his agent of what they're going to do. But what the tag is, it's a placeholder in the offseason. This is one of our most coveted free agents. We don't want to lose him. So we're going to tag him right now, because what happens March 3rd, why is that the key date? Because the next week, on March 9th, is when free agency opens and you can sign with anyone. So if you do not tag George Pickens and you don't sign him to a deal between now and March 9th, you don't agree to a deal, then he's on the open market. He can sign with anybody, okay?
Yeah, clocking.
And so what you're doing, it's basically like a placeholder, and it's a way something the NFL has done as a way for teams to control their most coveted players who enter free agency. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it makes
That's
sense.
the purpose.
It seems like a lot of people expected this to happen anyways.
Yeah, and by the way, you have until mid-July, okay? I tag Pickens or whoever. I
hope
whatever,
they don't
whoever.
take till July.
I tag him, and then I have until mid-July to work out this like long-term deal. So you hope to get it done before then.
Yeah.
Now, what's the danger? What's the danger in doing that if you're the Cowboys? Of tagging Pickens in particular.
There's still a possibility that he could say, all right, I don't want to sign this tag, and still explore other options, right?
He can explore other options other than not playing.
Yeah.
Yeah. They control the rights. He can hope that someone is willing to trade 2 first-round picks for him, because that's what happens. Or he can hope for if he signs the franchise tag, then he can be traded.
I feel like the downfall for me as a player, if I just came off my career high best and I'm being tagged and I want to be here and I go play and I tear my ACL, I just jip myself.
Yeah, you got your 1 year, $28 million or a little over $28 million, but then you're bleeped after that, right?
And that's
you'd enter free agency without that. To me, the danger is players don't like being tagged.
I think.
And he's not going to be happy, likely. And is he going to come in and do off-season work? Probably not. Most tagged players don't.
Yeah. Tony Pollard didn't.
I'm thinking of Higgins from Bengals was tagged, I believe.
T.
And
Higgins,
I think they had the same agent, and I think they no longer have. I think that
it's just like anything else. There's good and bad. Just think of these free agents that are on the open market. Forget about the franchise tag. Great news, you're a free agent. You could sign with anybody. Bad news, you're unemployed.
Yeah.
You are technically unemployed.
Yeah.
And unfortunately,
That's crazy.
a lot of people are unemployed into next season, through camp, So it's just like anything else in professional sports. It's good news, bad news. You control more of your career, but
It's funny. What's funny is because these reports didn't come out until after Michael Parsons was at the Pro Bowl, literally trying to convince Pickens to go to Green Bay. Did y'all see that?
Yeah.
All the videos and having him on his podcast, like.
I will
So
say
you're ready to
it was a little funny
go to
about
Green Bay.
his flashing back to when he got drafted, because I've always wanted that meme explained to me. I mean,
Yeah.
the shiesty mask.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's still funny.
So-
But he has a lot of pride. Like I said, he's coming off his career best. I feel like he gave everything and more that was asked of him. And I know there was some issues off the field, but it seemed like he owned up to it. Schottenheimer called him out on some BS. Disciplined them. I don't even. What was that?
it was the game in Las Vegas where
Was it a couple
he and
went
CD sat out the first drive.
Okay,
and missed
I was like,
3 plays?
That's what I'm
4
gonna say.
plays?
Like at the end of the day, like if I'm him and I have again a bulldog of an agent that we all are aware of because he was all in the headlines for our last offseason.
Oligeta, right?
I have a feeling we're
Micah.
going to have him again in this offseason, and he's probably sitting back comfortable. Like, I've dealt with this organization, and, I got my last player, the top deal, and just ride with me, and I'll do it again for you, however that may come. But definitely I would feel like I'm not feeling confident at this point that this is going to get done by training camp like everyone has hoped. And I hope it's not one of those situations where with like CD, he had to come in and, trying to get into rhythm with Dak. Like, this team doesn't have time for all that nonsense.
Yeah, especially as we've been talking about the last few weeks when Clayton Adams and the offensive coaches are working this offseason. That's another reason for the Cowboys to try and get this settled is Clayton, in case you didn't see the past few weeks, we're talking about Clayton Adams, the offensive coordinator, saying that that's going to be one of the things that he's really studying this offseason is having 2 number 1 wide receivers and the way that it affects everything, not just the passing attack, but the run game and protections and everything else. And so just with everything up in the air, again, it's a placeholder.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean things are resolved.
Mm-hmm. And it's easier said than done to just get it done. I know that's, we're all like, just get it done. But they have 15 unrestricted free agents here to deal with. And obviously Pickens is the top one, but you still have the conversations of a certain running back you want to come back.
We want
Clowney,
we want Clowney. We want Brandon.
We want it all.
Aubrey.
And there's 15 of them to figure out. You're already over the cap, nearly
30 million? I think
At least.
tagging.
Yeah.
Pickens.
And by the way, the cap is up 20 million, but you're still over that. So,
yeah, they got some things to move around. So I know it's not that simple, but if you're talking about a team who's right there and you're putting all this resources into building up this defense, that everyone knows if this defense can be serviceable and keep the offense that you had, this is going to be a team to watch out for next season. But if you let this Pickens things go to something I can't say on air, then it's going to be nasty.
Yeah, you say, oh, this is the business side of it. It's not personal until it's you.
Yeah.
And it's very personal.
Yes.
Talk about career numbers, 93 receptions, over almost 1,500 receiving yards, 9 touchdowns for George Pickens this past year. Earned second team All-Pro honors, his first Pro Bowl appearance as well. So shout out to Pickens. But talk about the free agency. Bree made a good point about the resources that they need to be putting into the defensive side of the ball. It's very important for them to get this done, just so you can make space for those guys. And even Kenny Clark, right?
Right.
He's on contract.
Well,
for
no,
4
he's
years.
under contract.
So then, yeah, there we go. That doesn't really count. But no, the defensive side of the ball, you need cornerback, you need linebacker, you need defensive end, you need all these different positions, everybody. So it'll be interesting to see how it unfolds. But if I'm Pickens, I'm like, let's get this done. All right, we're going to take our second break here on Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign, and talk defensive staff, because I know we didn't get a chance to really touch into, I know they hired their linebackers coach right after we were on the air, so that's great always. But we're going to talk about that a little bit as well up next here on Girls Talk, Boys Talk.
Discover Aiden, the official luggage partner of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Known for top-tier engineering and craftsmanship, Aiden offers more than just bags. Originating from Australia and designed in New York, it merges fashion, design, and culture. Used by Dallas Cowboys players, staff, and the entire organization, Aiden provides style and functionality for all travelers. Visit AidenTheBrand.com and use code AidenXCowboys for 25% off your purchase. Travel like your favorite stars with Aiden.
When you're on the field, you know what it takes to lead your team and play with confidence. But that confidence shouldn't just stop at game time. It should follow you off the field, too. Join over 500 NFL players who trust Invisalign, the #1 doctor-recommended clear aligner brand. Ready to take the first step towards a smile you'll love? Visit Invisalign.com/NFL and find a doctor near you today. Transform your smile and take your confidence to the next level, both on the field and off.
Cowboys fans, when it comes to navigating the ever-changing world of tax, your business needs a partner it can trust to tackle even your biggest tax challenges. Ryan is the largest firm in the world dedicated exclusively to business taxes. Our team of tax professionals has local expertise in all areas of tax and can help you uncover savings opportunities you didn't know you had. Learn more about how Ryan can improve your overall corporate tax performance by visiting Ryan.com. Ryan, the official tax partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
How does the cheerleader's hair always look so perfect? We asked, and they shared one of their biggest beauty secrets. If you want hair like theirs and confidence to match, use Babyliss Pro styling tools. The Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders use Babyliss Pro curling irons to get those perfect game day curls. To get the hair you see on the cheerleaders, head to BabylissPro.com. Use the code Cowboys20 for 20% off Babyliss Pro tools, the official styling tools of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Get the discount while it lasts. Offer may be withdrawn at any time at advertiser's discretion.
Cowboys Nation, Dallas Cowboys United, presented by Globe Life, is exclusively in the Dallas Cowboys app. Join the official fan club today to receive access to Cowboys Drops, where you can win game tickets, autographed items, exclusive experiences, and more. Download the app now to join.
Welcome back into Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign in the SWBC studio. Nicole Hutchison, Brianna Aldridge, Christy Scales, and as promised, we are breaking down this coaching staff as it continues to be filled out. I know the last time that we talked, we only, I believe we got to Ryan Smith, who's the secondaries coach, and Derek Ansley, who is the defensive pass game coordinator, safeties coach for the Dallas Cowboys. But after that, they hired their outside linebackers coach, who came from Georgia, Chidera Uzo Dry.
I was gonna ask how to say it. I'm gonna need a cheat sheet on that one.
I need to go to Patrick Walker because he's Georgia down. All right, but they also hired Marcus Dixon and Robert Muschamp.
Yeah.
Still learning. It's fine. I'm gonna get there.
His name's gonna eat me up for a little bit.
Yeah, it's fine. But no, we were kind of briefly talking about it off the air. It's just, does this change what they're trying to do schematically by the looks of the positions that they have hired? Because they have an outside linebackers coach who history has shown that the Cowboys hadn't necessarily had an outside linebackers coach. They've just had a linebackers coach or assistant linebackers coach. So does it kind of change, in your opinion, what they're trying to do schematically here in Dallas?
It could, but also sometimes the way that you do some job titles is interesting. Just to kind of how you staff it up and how basically the titles don't always match up with.
That's fair.
It's not so delineated. There's a little bit of crossover, but I think it is interesting to note, as you said, Nicole, that they haven't divvied it up that way by title in the past: inside linebacker coach and outside linebacker coach. And most teams that do that, just kind of a rule of thumb, that's more of a 3-4 defense that differentiates between inside linebacker and outside linebacker coaches. So is it an indication? Could be.
Yeah.
I just like that this whole look of the defense, the youth of the defensive side of the ball looks how it looks. I was asking you guys before the break, are they finished? I wasn't really sure because I haven't really seen like the article, like, okay, Parker's defense, it just says he's building and things like that. So
yeah, I'm hoping that later this week or next week that the coaches are made available to the media, where we can actually go talk to them and meet them and get a little bit more about that. So
yeah, I'm kind of jealous too because I've seen other teams who obviously are been out of it as well introduce their DCs and OCs and things like that. I'm just like, I'm eager to listen in and see.
Yeah, Cowboys have done that the last several years in the way that they wait until the staff has been redone and then have the assistants made available all together rather than kind of piecemeal, like one at a time as they're announced.
Yeah.
But we have had so much turnover with the defensive coaching staffs over the last few years that it really wasn't an issue until the last few years.
Has it changed y'all's confidence level heading into the 2026 season? I know we've asked this question every single offseason that I've been here, just because there has been so much turnover. But, by the looks of what this coaching staff is starting to look like, right? We mentioned how, Shoddy needs the same type of level of intensity or energy that matches the offensive side of the ball, for the defense. So does that kind of change the confidence level heading into this year?
Yeah,
we haven't seen much?
I think rather than confidence, the way that I would describe it for me personally is it's piqued my curiosity. I'm very excited to see because it goes to both of y'all's point earlier about the youth and the energy. And it's not just the age of these young coaches coming in, but the fact that so many of them are coming from college. And I just think it's going to be a fresh, unique thing. And we talked about it last week as this ain't the same old process for the Cowboys in the Jones era of how they've gone and gone with more experience at at the coordinator position. Well, hey, there's nothing wrong. It's worked for him in the past, okay, but not the past couple of years. But Schottenheimer's influence is really showing through, I think, this offseason, and they've cast a very wide net. And that's in terms of interviews, right? And these young guys bringing in from pro and college level. So it piques my curiosity and it makes me excited. I honestly can't wait for camp. Right?
Yeah.
I know we just had the Super Bowl yesterday, but
Christine's on
I don't
Oxnard.
know.
no,
I'm on.
I'm
no,
with
I am. I'm
Aisha.
looking forward to
Camp
it.
fooled me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it can't. But the cool parts of camp and when you have a joint practice, you're not going to see things in preseason. But the way some of the, there'll be tells in the once you get to the nitty gritty parts of practice of some of the cool concepts and things that they're going to be working on. So that's what has me excited.
And just last season to this season, I think the difference, what I'm seeing and what I read just last night was only 2 of the hires has familiarity and has been where Parker has been. I think that speaks volumes because Flus brought everybody with him.
Right.
Just
Almost everybody.
just about.
Yeah.
I think
Not white cotton, but
I think this is different in that aspect to going away from just like youth college ranking is they did their work. I think it was almost 20 different candidates for all of the positions that they've combed through. That's huge as well because it just felt like last season once they named the DC, everything else really came pretty quick. Who was coming with them? It didn't it wasn't this thorough in my opinion.
And can I say one more thing about in terms of bringing in guys who've recently or coming straight out of college, familiarity with the prospects coming out. When Jimmy Johnson and that staff, think of it, it was Butch Davis and Dave Wannstedt and Dave Campo and that staff that came from University of Miami. A lot of those players that the Cowboys drafted, they had specifically recruited, or they knew or they played against them. Right? They may not have all of their recruits may not have ended up at University of Miami playing for Jimmy and that staff. But you talk about knowing the guys who were available in those first few drafts. Heck yeah. And so that's something that it will be really interesting with this draft process and something that we won't know until the draft is done. But I'll be interested to talk to my friends in the scouting department who have been here a long time, and I'll kind of give you the skinny on what kind of input some of the newer coaching hires had in the process.
Yeah, and Combine will be interesting to see too.
yeah.
Like the interviews that they get to, or the interviews with the players that they get to have, and kind of seeing and how where they kind of rank each position amongst this coaching staff too. Does this change where y'all see the Cowboys drafting, or which position this Cowboys team drafts first round? Does it change anything for you guys? No?
I don't think it changes where or what they do. I just think, to Christy's point, it gives you a little bit more of upper hand because it's no secret that this organization over the last few years, when we talk about defensive picks, they've missed. So I think it's smart to do what they're doing, and it makes perfect sense what Christy's saying. And it would be nice to start hitting in some of these spots that are much needed, and that we just talked about money and all these unrestricted free agents. Money's tight, so the draft is important.
Yeah, I think to go back to your point, I obviously feel like defensive ends probably a priority. You still need that. But if they do decide to go with, like Christy was mentioning, possibly a 3-4 defense, does that kind of change maybe linebacker? Do you move Ezeraku to kind of linebacker position? What does that do for a guy like Anthony?
I just don't know about 3-4 just because the strength is the interior of your line. And would you see some 5-man line like we did towards the end of this season? So I don't know, but in the past, when there have been transitions from 3-4 to 4-3 and back, and by the way, there's no right or wrong when it comes to that. It's just approach, but you do have to draft towards that. So I'll give an example. I'm sorry to go old school here, but this is just the way that works. When Bill Parcells took over as head coach of the Cowboys in 2003, Bill had always been a 3-4 guy. All right, Bill was 3-4. When he came to the Cowboys, he didn't automatically implement that. Why? because he didn't have the horses for it. He didn't have the personnel for it. It took, and Chris Beam can help me out here, was it 2 years? It was the second year, actually, I think it was the third year that he switched to 3-4. And Mike Zimmer, as defensive, the other thing was Mike Zimmer was the defensive coordinator, and Parcells inherited Mike. Mike had never coordinated 3-4. And so then a couple years after that, then Mike has to learn. He had to make the big switch and learn the 3-4. But that's because they had drafted DeMarcus Ware. And and when DeMarcus Ware began his Cowboys career, he was he could play either defensive end or linebacker. And then there was a point where Greg Ellis, who was drafted in 1998 as the first round pick, he was a defensive end. Well, when the transition was made from 4-3 to 3-4, Ellis had to move from defensive end to linebacker. So what's the biggest change for him? Instead of rushing off the edge with the hand on the ground in the three-point stance, it's from a stand-up position. It's dropping back into coverage. It's things like that. So the long-winded answer to your question, Nicole, is it absolutely will affect certain positions, particularly those.
Yeah, and then that's
and inside linebacker as well,
Yeah.
instead of middle linebacker, inside linebacker instead of just having a mic.
And that's the point I think too, Nicole, is like, what type of defense is this staff going to look like? We have no freaking idea at this point, and I think that's what makes it exciting, because this isn't a staff that they're so young and molded that they're not coming in with like set ways. They're going to, it feels like anyway, they're going to figure out, to your point, personnel. What do I have? I don't think they did that last season.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, this is what I got, so now let's force it into this box, and it just did not work all season long.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we can't do that anymore. I'm pretty sure the staff won't do that, so that's a good thing to know. All right, well, we've got to wrap up the show. We will be back here Mondays at 10 a.m. Hopefully we'll have Aisha back, but it'll be our last show with Bree.
for a little bit.
She'll be back
eventually.
Yeah, she'll be back.
Yeah.
But shout out to you. She's having her baby soon, so we love that. We're going to welcome little nephew shortly. But that's a wrap for today's show. For Girls Talk, Boys Talk, for Brianna Aldridge, Christy Scales, I'm Nicole Hutchison. We'll be back here next week.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?